I was impressed with that move you pulled. Bang.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's me, it's DMC, the undefeated, undisputed YouTube champion. Oh, come on. YouTube champion, that's right, it's the Maverick, Mark Daniels. Sometimes it just does not want to spin, and there we go. This is our Summerslam 2017 review, as well as our NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3 review. I'm going to combine them into one. I will do my SummerSlam review first, and then we'll go ahead and start working on the NXT Takeover review. This is going to be a long video. In fact, I can tell you my notes here has about 10 pages on my Google Docs. So, yeah, it's a lot to talk about. First things first, because I know that my opinion is going to differ from a majority of you guys. This is my opinion. This is not fact. I rate my matches out of 5 stars just like anyone else. Take that with a grain of salt. This is just my opinion. Because I thought we had a lot of good matches overall, especially this entire weekend. There's been some bad ones. There's been some good ones. But overall, I will say I enjoyed both shows quite a bit. SummerSlam is, I'm going to say that the reaction for it has been mostly on the negative side from what I can see on social media. I enjoyed the show overall, though, and we'll talk about them. I thought for the most part, it had a lot of good matches on the card, some average matches, and then just a couple really bad matches. And of course, I'm sure you guys know which ones those are, and we'll talk about them when we get to them, so I'll talk about them in order. Another thing to notice, I didn't see part of the pre-show. I was gone with friends. We ate dinner. I missed out on the Jason Jordan and the Hardys versus the Miztourage, which I believe the Miztourage won. Didn't see it. Heard it wasn't really nothing to really watch and care about, so I might check it out later on. But honestly, I may not. But I also missed the Cruiserweight title match, which I heard was actually really, really good. Well, I might go back and watch that, which means, you know what, I might go back and watch the 6-man tag as well when I get the chance. But otherwise, I've seen everything else, and we'll start with the first match that I saw tonight, which I thought was one of the best matches of the entire weekend. And normally I don't include pre-show matches when I do like my reviews and my rankings of the matches, but since this match was just so good, this was not your average pre-show match. This wasn't a 10-minute throwaway match, you know, like Aiden English versus Ty Dillinger or something. This was a really, really good match. And things to know, so it was the New Day versus the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And I didn't do my predictions. I didn't have time to do them this weekend. I should have done them. And next time I'll do them ahead of time. Instead of waiting to the last minute, I just didn't have time to do it. But I can tell you that most of my predictions that I had written down were wrong. And I think a lot of people can say that because there's a lot of weird decisions. I didn't quite expect a lot of title changes, especially in the first part of the show. The last bit of the show, there were no title changes. And when this happened, I was talking to some friends on Discord. I'm like, yeah, this probably means Brock is keeping his title and Jinder's winning. And we all kind of joked around. And unfortunately, I was right. But this match was awesome. So the New Day came out. They were dressed, I thought, like Power Rangers. But I think it was Byron Saxon said that they were dressed like the Red Lantern. So I don't know which it is. To me, they look like Power Rangers. But they were dressed up, though, you know. But this match was really good. They had a lot of innovative tag team moves in this match. At one point, Woods ran into Big E, did like a flip into him, like a powerbomb position, and got slammed down on one of the Usos. And one of the most impressive feats of strength from anybody, let alone Xavier Woods, was when he put Big E over his shoulders in an electric chair position and slammed him on one of the Usos. Talk about strength. That guy, let me tell you, this match should tell anybody that Xavier Woods is so underrated. The guy is really, really good. And I think if the New Day ever do break up, maybe Kofi retires because he's getting up there in age. I think that's one reason why he wasn't in this match and has been used less and less in the New Day, is because he is getting a little bit older, and I think at some point he's gonna want to slow it down. And I think Big E will be fine. The guy is definitely a heavyweight. The guy has a lot of charisma. But I think Xavier Woods has potential to be a good single star too. Maybe not a world champion, but I definitely could see him get a run with the IC title, maybe the US title at the very least. The guy's really good. And this match was insane. There was just so many near falls. The crowd was very much into it. And this was probably the most I've ever seen any crowd be in any pre-show match. And on Battleground, this was, for the most part, everyone agreed, this was the best match on the card, if not the only good match that was on the card. I think a lot of people would agree with that. I thought that Battleground was really bad, and I thought this was the only match on the card. So when they tore the house down in this match, I even joked around. I was like, well, hopefully this isn't another battleground situation, which in some people's minds it was. To me, it wasn't because I thought there was other good matches on the card this time around, but this was great. There was a tornado DDT on one of the Usos from the outside by Xavier Woods that looked really good. I guess they renamed the Midnight Hour, which is their tag team finish, the New Day, to the Up Up Down Down, which is appropriate. Usos broke it up when they hit the Up Up Down Down. Jimmy threw Woods on the J. That looked really nasty. So Jimmy was running at Xavier Woods, and he popped him up into a backdrop over the reverse that. Xavier Woods was running to Uso. Uso popped him up to a back body drop to the outside, and he landed right on top of Jey Uso's neck. Jay's lucky because that looked nasty. I mean, Xavier Woods is no small guy. That's 200 pounds or so. Drop it on your neck. He's gonna definitely feel that later. Hopefully he's okay. Big E did his classic spear through the ropes. We haven't seen him do that in a while because it's dangerous. It's a dangerous spot, and they should definitely save it for big matches like this, for big shows. And it was really, really fun to see. Then we had a super kick party is what I wrote down for Big E. Usos just laid a bunch of super kicks onto him. And ultimately, Usos won with a double splash. I gave this match 4.5 stars. I have not given a match 5 stars yet. And tonight, I've gotten really close to doing so. I don't want to just give them away to anybody. Even though, again, they don't mean nothing. They're just opinionated. But this was a really good match. And for the most part, throughout the most of the show, this was my favorite match of the night. Until we get to the last bit of matches. And again, at the end, I'll rank my least favorite to favorite match as I normally do. An incredible match. Pre-show match to me, one of the best matches on the show by far. Probably one of the best, if not the best, pre-show match we've ever had since they started doing pre-show matches. I really enjoyed it. Then we had a weird KFC commercial. They had a bunch of superstars dressed up as the Colonel. You had Ziggler started off. R-Truth was in it, which was kind of funny. You had Mojo Rawley. I'm trying to think of everyone that was in the commercial. There was just a ton of people. And Enzo Amore was in there, the Big Show. And then afterwards, they had put KFC on the Titantron, and then Shawn Michaels came out dressed as the Colonel. It was kind of weird, but kind of funny. Then Paul Heyman started cutting a promo. They kind of cut the crowd noise from this promo, which I thought was kind of interesting. Strowman grabs the mic from him and says, "You talk too much." And they really built this whole Strowman versus Brock match, which I think is going to happen maybe at the next pay-per-view. We'll talk about that when we get to it, because they've done a lot to build Strowman up in the match that they had tonight, as well as this, where he kind of takes the microphone from Paul Heyman. There's a lot to work with there to kind of make this feud happen. Then we had John Cena versus Baron Corbin. Some things to note: John Cena came out, of course, to loud "John Cena sucks." The crowd was singing to it. But when he first came out, there was a big pop for him. Just something interesting to note. And during this match, Cena was very cocky, just taunting Corbin throughout the match, talking trash to him. I thought that was pretty funny. Poor Corbin, man. I feel bad for the guy. He started wailing on Cena, Corbin, that is, and the crowd started chanting, "Thank you, Corbin." Actually, a very few people started to chant that, but the crowd just didn't go along with it. Corbin kept yelling at the crowd. You could tell he was very flustered. Probably flustered with his whole booking. I mean, he lost his Money in the Bank within seconds of cashing in, and then he loses this match. But, the guy's got to be frustrated, very frustrated. He did hit a very sick chokeslam backbreaker on Cena, kind of landed on his neck afterwards on the impact. So hopefully he's okay there. But it was very impressive looking. Cena hits a big clothesline, hits one attitude adjustment for the win. I give it 2.5 stars, just an average to above average match, I thought. Better than I thought it would be. I thought it was a decent match. I didn't think it was bad by any means. Maybe a little boring. Halfway through the match, it kind of got a little boring, but overall, I enjoyed the match overall. I thought it was decent. Then we had Natalya versus Naomi. Pretty decent match, actually. I really like this match. She goes for the glow time, which is when she does the kick. Like, she does like the kicks to the leg, and then she just starts jumping and doing the kicks over and over again. And Natalya caught her leg and yanked it down, and it made Naomi go into the splits. It looked kind of nasty, even though she's done the splits many times. Obviously, she's very flexible, but just the way you land on that when you're not expecting, maybe if you don't stretch or warm up for that, it hurt a lot. Looked pretty nasty. Naomi at some point went for a slick-looking springboard leg drop onto Natalya. She was kind of propped against the ropes, laying down, and she did a sick springboard leg drop. I thought that looked really nice. Naomi went for the Anaconda Vice. They still haven't given that a name, so that's just the name I'm going to stick to it. Natalya got out of it. She put her in a sharpshooter. Naomi reversed it, throwing Natalya into the turnbuckle. Then she hits a split-legged moonsault in which Natalya got her knees up for it. Natty gets up, locks into the sharpshooter, and Naomi taps out. We have a new SmackDown Women's Champion. I gave this one a 2.5 as well, above average. Just a match that you would see maybe at the main event of a SmackDown. That's kind of what I'm ranking these on. It wasn't spectacular, but I thought there was a lot of good spots in this match. These women tried hard. Some good psychology in there. But overall, I enjoyed the match. So, 2.5, pretty solid match. And now for one of the first of the two really bad matches of the night. There were two matches I was not very fond of, and this was one of them. This was Big Cass versus Big Show with Enzo in a shark cage. Enzo came out to very little reaction, quoting Little Kim, and was doing a bunch of quotes and just doing the promo like he normally does. And the crowd just wasn't really behind him in the promo, which I like Enzo, even though I know about his heat that he has backstage with a lot of guys. Apparently, a lot of people dislike the guy, but that doesn't mean I can't find the guy entertaining. I think people get too caught up in that, and when you have a crowd like this that are more of the quote-unquote smart fans, and this is going to be a Summerslam crowd, this is a big crowd from all over the world, I think that's why he didn't get much of a reaction. It's not because he's entertaining, it's just because, granted the promo wasn't like great or anything, but I still find the guy fun to watch, and you could tell the crowd got into him a little bit later in the night. When he slid out of the cage and people were chanting, "Oh, Enzo Amore," when he was stripping down. But I think people just buy into that a little bit too much and care too much about those sort of things, like behind the scenes stuff, that they started to turn on Enzo here, which they've been doing for a while though. I'll be fair on that end. And again, he's not my favorite, not even top 10, probably not even top 20 guys that I enjoy watching in WWE alone. But I think people just buy into that stuff a little bit too much. But Cass interrupts his promo. He gets zero reaction as well. People obviously not fond of Big Cass. Big Show comes out to a little reaction. During the match, Big Show, basically this whole match was Cass working on the injured hand of Big Show. He hits a KO punch with the bandage hand. Cass kicked out. There was boring chants. I agree. Big Show hit a left-handed chokeslam. Cass kicked out. And this is when Enzo started stripping down, which was kind of weird. Started oiling himself up. Very reminiscent of a Joey Ryan match. But he slipped out of the cage, which was pretty cool. Probably the best spot of the match was him sliding out of the cage. And he slides out, falls off the cage, only to get hit with a big boot. And then that pretty much knocks him out for the rest of the match. Cass hits the big boot on Big Show for a 2 count. And then Cass hits a second big boot and an Empire elbow drop for the win. I gave it 1.5 stars. Definitely a very weak match, a very boring match, and maybe 1.5 is a little generous. But the reason why I gave it a little bit extra was because I did find the Enzo slide through the cage kind of funny. It was kind of an interesting and unique spot that we haven't seen before. So I gave it a little extra. Otherwise, it'd probably just be like a 1 star, maybe a 0.5 star match, in my opinion. It was a really bad, boring match. Wasn't very excited at all. Then we had Daniel Bryan and Kurt Angle backstage comparing matches. A little bit of competition between the two. There are rumors that we're going to see a shakeup after SummerSlam. That rumor's been around for a while. And I don't know if it's going to be so much of a shakeup, if it's more just some NXT call-ups. After last night on NXT, both these guys were seen in the back, kind of like in a skybox, and they were talking to some talent back there. You've seen Roddy Strong back there, the iconic duo, Peyton Royce and Billy Kay. And there's a few other people backstage. I can't remember everyone that was backstage. I think No Way Jose may have been back there. I don't know. But they were talking to both Angle and Daniel Bryan. You can see they're scouting some talent. So maybe we'll see some call-ups the next couple nights after SummerSlam here. But they were doing some dueling yes and no's back and forth. The crowd got into it. It was kind of fun. Fun little spot there. Then we had Randy Orton versus Rusev. By far the worst thing of the show, in my opinion, and kind of pissed me off a little bit. And I think it pissed a lot of people off. I've seen a lot of people upset about this. So Orton comes out, mild reaction. Rusev attacks him from behind, beats him up a little bit. Match starts. Randy Orton hits the RKO. 1, 2, 3. The match lasts like 10 seconds. Not really much more to say about it. It really pissed me off that this happened. I feel bad for Rusev. There's rumors that he asked for his release a week ago or so. And when something like this happens, you really have to take that almost as truth. I mean, you can't blame the guy, the way they treated this guy. Ever since him and Lana got married or engaged or whatever. I think they're married now. But ever since they got engaged and they made the TMZ headlines and stuff, they've really just treated those two like nothing. And you got to think that Rusev's got to be fed up with it. The guy's very entertaining. The guy's good. For a guy who didn't do a lot of wrestling, previously to come to NXT, I think the guy's really good. If I had to pick between him and like a Baron Corbin, I pick Rusev. I think Rusev's more entertaining for me. It's just a damn shame. Wasted talent, in my opinion. I gave this a -1 star. My first negative star. I'd give it more, but I have to try and be fair here, I guess. But just -1 stars. Crowd didn't like it. I didn't like it. This does nothing for nobody. This doesn't help Randy Orton. All this does is just make WWE look petty. That's just all it does. I don't know if they did this on purpose, whether this is all a ruse to kind of play into the rumors to get us some sympathy behind Rusev, and maybe they'll see a movement. I don't know, but all I can tell you is I was not happy about it. Then we had Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss, and I thought this was a pretty good match. Sasha came out with a Japanese fan-looking thing. I'm sure Sienna from GFW Impact or whatever you want to call it. I'm sure she enjoyed her coming out to that outfit. If you guys don't know, Sienna was about a week ago, maybe a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, somewhere in that time frame. She was calling out Sasha for, I guess, stealing her gimmick for wearing robes because she wore the peacock robe that one time and sticking her pinky out or whatever the case might be. I'm sure she enjoyed Sasha's entrance there. Great reaction for Alexa. Alexa was very much over here. This was a fun match. There's a point where Alexa went for a sunset flip, and Alexa reversed it into the turnbuckle, or Sasha reversed it to the turnbuckle, and she yanked the ring skirt while Sasha was on the outside and made Sasha crash down, in which Sasha hurt her shoulder in the match, kayfabe, and this then turned into Alexa working on the shoulder for the most part. Alexa hit the Twisted Bliss, Sasha kicked out, but ultimately Sasha ends up hitting the bank statement and Bliss taps out. Solid match. I gave it 2.5 stars. So at this point now, this is the 5th match on the regular card, 6th match overall if you count the pre-show New Day versus Usos match. And every match has been about average, a little above average. So at this point, I have enjoyed the show for the most part at this point. But at this point, I'm waiting for something big to happen. I really am. Just kind of giving you guys my thoughts of what my mind was going through as the show is progressing. Then we had Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt. Demon Balor came out with his entrance, which was always spectacular to see. It's been, I'm going to say it's been a year since we've seen it. I said that in I think in either my NXT predictions video or my SmackDown or Raw review, I don't remember, but he comes out the world's in his hands thing that Bray Wyatt does, and I thought that was pretty cool. The entrance was great. The match was pretty good. Finn ends up winning with the coup de grace. It was a very simple match, not a whole lot to it, but ultimately I did enjoy it. A lot of good storytelling was done in this match. I gave it 2.75 stars, just above average, a little bit above some of the other matches. It was definitely better than the Cena and Corbin match, probably better than both the women's matches too, and I'm just going to give it a 2.75. Not really much to talk about it though. Cesaro and Sheamus versus Rollins and Dean Ambrose, and this is where the show really started to pick up for me. This match was awesome. Both tag team title matches were really good. I'll start the match off. Sheamus kicked Dean on the outside during the match. This was probably my favorite part of the show, maybe even the night, where the fans, they were playing with the beach ball on the outside, right? Cesaro gets out of the ring, jumps over the barricade, grabs the ball, and just rips it in half. This guy's a monster. And the crowd popped big for it. I popped big for it, too. I started laughing. Crowd started chanting yes. And that's when this match really started picking up. There was a spot where they hit a superplex, Ambrose hit a superplex, and then Rollins hit a frog splash afterwards. They teased the Shield powerbomb, which was great. They put him on the turnbuckle as if he was, the turnbuckle was a third man in the Shield powerbomb. They teased it. Cesaro and Sheamus, they did a powerbomb clothesline off the top, and then they hit the double Celtic cross on Ambrose. Rollins broke up the pin for a near fall. The crowd popped for it. Dean asked for more punishment and just gets destroyed by Cesaro and Sheamus. They were going to go for a double white noise. Sheamus had him in the white noise. Cesaro's on the turnbuckle getting ready to maybe double axe handle, maybe an uppercut off the top rope or something. Rollins hits a springboard Hurricanrana on Cesaro, which launches him into Sheamus, breaking up the white noise move. And then he hits the V-trigger knee Now, they don't have a name for it yet, so I'm just going to stick to calling it the V-Trigger Knee. Into Dirty Deeds by Dean, and they end up winning the tag team titles. Very good match. I gave it 4 stars. One of my favorite matches of the night. And this actually makes Dean a Grand Slam champion, the first one we've had in a long time. I looked it up on Wikipedia. The definition of a Grand Slam champion has definitely changed. And it's changed to where you could win, you have to win the Intercontinental, the U.S. title, one of the tag team titles, and one of the 2 world titles to be considered a Grand Slam champion, which, of course, Dean meets a requirement being a former Intercontinental and U.S. champion, now a tag team champion, and he's been WWE champion. Rollins is just missing the Intercontinental title to be considered a Grand Slam champion. He's also not considered a Triple Crown champion because to be a Triple Crown, they haven't changed it yet, and they may change in the future, but you have to win the tag team titles, WWE title, and the Intercontinental title. Until they replace the add the Universal, the other tag team titles, as well as the U.S. title, there's no Triple Crowns. But technically, Dean is also a Triple Crown champion as well, so good for him. But very fun match. Then we had AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens with Shane as a special guest referee. This was a great match, too. And up at this point, was my second favorite match. I still enjoyed the Usos versus the New Day more than I enjoyed this match, but I really enjoyed this match. Owens and Styles start brawling right away, of course. What else can you expect from these two? Shane tries to pull them apart, and there's a lot of spots in this match where Shane actually gets hit and gets bounced around a lot, which you expected after he was called as the special guest referee. AJ went for a springboard 450. Owens pulled him into it, and he ends up getting hit by the 450 instead. Owens hits a pop-up powerbomb for 2 afterwards. Owens kicks AJ into Shane. Shane goes out of the ring, bumps out of the ring. AJ locks in a calf crusher. Owen tapped out. Shane gets back in there. AJ and him start arguing with each other. They start shoving each other. Shane shoves AJ into Kevin. Kevin hits a roll-up for a 2 count. This was a very impressive spot. So whenever he hits this, I always pop because it always looks so impressive because you don't see it a lot. In fact, I don't think I've never seen anyone else do this, I don't think. The reverse superplex by Owens always looks impressive. I looked down for a second, but it looked like AJ Styles went for a Hurricanrana. Kevin Owens caught him into a powerbomb and ends up reversing it into a reverse superplex, which is just so impressive to see. Gets a 2 count. Then he gets hit with the Styles Clash. Kevin Owens gets hit with the Styles Clash, kicks out at 2. AJ goes for the Phenomenal Forearm, misses, rolls into the rope. His leg hit the rope there. And then Kevin Owens went for a pop-up powerbomb. Counts to 3, Shane does, but AJ Styles' foot is on the rope. So him and Shane start arguing. They start shoving each other. He shoves Kevin Owens into AJ Styles, who rolls him up for a 2 count. Very reminiscent of what happened earlier in the match. Ends up hitting the Phenomenal Forearm, and then the Styles Clash for 3. Very fun match. A lot of great spots in this match. I give it a 4.25 stars. Very, very solid match. I still, at this point, favored the New Day versus the Usos over this match, but still, very fun match. WWE title match. Jinder Mahal versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I will say this match was not bad. But it takes a lot for me to be upset or, salty from a match finish. I tried really hard not to. But this actually really upsetted me after this match. But to start off, we had that live violinist that Shinsuke has had in his debut for SmackDown. He was also the live violinist on NXT Takeover. Guy's great. Shinsuke came out, huge reaction. Crowd was just all over Shinsuke. They loved him. They were singing this along with the song. It was great. They showed the Indian commentary team for a minute, which was kind of strange for a second. I was kind of confused by it. But then they did that for the Japanese commentary team later on. There were some 3MB chants, which I kind of chuckled at. During the match, Shinsuke did his come on thing a couple times. Jinder then taunted him with it later on. I thought that was good. Shinsuke went for the Kinshasa. Jinder threw him into the turnbuckle, so he ended up kneeing the turnbuckle instead. Rolls him up for a 2 count. Then after that, shortly after that, Shinsuke beats up the Singh brothers. They come in and he just effortlessly beats the shit out of them. And then, just like Jinder wins most of his matches, I would say 90% of his matches that he's won as champion. With the distraction of the Singh brothers, he hits the Colossus, and it was a sloppy-looking Colossus at that. Gets the 3 count. This wasn't a bad match. Oh, in fact, I enjoyed the match overall until the finish. It wasn't like an exciting match by any means. I gave it a 2.5 stars, just a little above average. I really want Shinsuke to win. I don't know if this is a good thing though, right? Because now I want to see the rematch. I want to see Shinsuke get his title from Shinsuke or from Jinder. I want to see him win. I want to see him get the title. Because ultimately, who else would be next for Jinder if it's not John Cena? If it is John Cena, it makes sense, I guess, from a booking standpoint. But it has to be Shinsuke in the rematch because you're not gonna do Orton again. I mean, if you did, shoot me now. It has to be. It has to be. So I'm gonna guess that they're gonna do a rematch. They'll do a setup at SmackDown where Shinsuke will win a number one contenders match or something. Maybe a battle royal. Gets a rematch against Jinder in which he will win, I hope. So now the chase begins, which is where the real money's at. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm just trying to stay positive because I was a little salty after that match. But that's okay because this last match, the main event of the night, really picked me back up because it was a insane match. I've written down so many different spots in this match, so prepare for almost like a full recap of this match. But it was just an insane match. It was so much to type down. Every time I looked up, something was happening. Great match though. So this was the Fatal 4-Way Universal Title match at Braun Strowman versus Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Braun came out to a pretty sizable pop. Joe came out to a really good pop and a lot of Joe chants. And then Roman got a massive pop, if you want to call it that. He got booed, of course, like crazy. Brock got a pretty good pop too. And they start off brawling. They start throwing each other out of the ring. We have a Roman and a Brock stare down. The crowd kind of pops for it. He hits a German suplex on him. He hits a German suplex on Joe. And now you begin a stare down between Braun Strowman and Brock. And the crowd starts going nuts. And then, of course, Roman and Joe interrupt. They take it away a little bit, which is good because that makes you want it that much more. And then they stare down again. They lock up, and Braun just throws Brock around like crazy. Just throws him to the turnbuckle, throws him over the top rope. And then Roman throws him over throws Braun Strowman out of the ring. Then you get a coquina clutch on a Brock by Joe. Roman goes to spear him. Joe gets out of the way. He ends up spearing Brock through the barricade. And at this point, we start get this is awesome chance, and I agree, it was awesome. Braun power slams Brock Lesnar through a table, and this elicits a loud Strowman chant. Samoa Joe hits a suicide dive on Roman, which I don't care how many times he does it. Super impressive to see a big man like that do it. Strowman throws an office chair at Roman and Joe, which I popped huge, big time. He did it the first time against Roman in their last pay-per-view match. But it wasn't a pay-per-view match. It was their last man standing match on Raw. But I popped huge for it because it's just so funny. Strowman threw Brock through yet another table, and then he picks up the last announced table in that area and just dumps it on Brock's legs. Again, this is awesome chance. At this point, I'm losing my mind. This match is just insane. Paramedics come down. They put Brock on a stretcher. The crowd boos. But then they start singing, nah, 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 nah. Hey, goodbye. And Brock gets stretchered out of the arena. And at some point he's going to come back. And I'm glad they did it earlier rather than later. Strowman grabs the stairs, hits Joe and Reigns. And this was just a match where Strowman just got over big time. They let him do a lot of different spots in this match to really build him up. Roman hits Strowman with the stairs 3 times, ends up busting his ear open with one of the shots. Joe rolls up Roman for 2. Joe reverses a Superman punch to the coquina clutch. Strowman comes in, double chokeslams both of them, goes for the pin. One of them, I think he pinned Roman. Roman kicked out. Brock comes back out. He goes straight after Braun Strowman, starts beating him up. He German suplexes both Joe and Roman, and then he tries to German suplex Braun Strowman. Couldn't get it done, but then he locks in the Kimura lock. Roman hits the Superman punch on Braun, and then he hits the Superman punch on Brock Lesnar and on Samoa Joe. Just so many Superman punches. I call this the Superman punch party. Roman spears Brock's for a close 2 count. It was very close. Then we get the coquina clutch on Roman. Then you get a drop kick by Braun Strowman, knocking them both down. Braun power slams Joe for I almost thought he won here. 1, 2, and right when he was about to slam for 3, I call this 2 3/4. Brock Lesnar pulls the referee out of the ring. Just good stuff there. Roman Superman punches the Brock on the outside. Braun pops up Roman. I don't know what he's going for there, but Roman comes back down with a Superman punch for a 2 count. Roman's done with this match anyways. Then we get a power slam on a Roman. Brock breaks up the pin at 2. Brock goes for an F5 on Braun, but just couldn't get him up. Braun gets out of it, goes for a power slam. Roman spears Braun Strowman, stopping the power slam. Then we get a coquina clutch on Brock. He reverses it into an F5. Roman breaks the pin. 3 Superman punches to Brock Lesnar. Roman goes for the spear, but Brock launches him out of the spear into an F5 for the win. And that's how I felt after that match. I had to catch my breath for a minute. I had to walk away for a second. I had to walk around for a minute. This match was insane. I almost gave this a 5-star, but I don't want to just hand them out. I just don't want to. 4.75. This was an incredible match. And maybe had Braun Strowman or Samoa Joe won, maybe I would have gave this 5 because I really wanted to see one of those 2 win. But man, this was an awesome match. So let's rank them. So I'm going to tell you guys what I thought my least favorite match was to my favorite matches. There were 11 matches total if you count the pre-show match, which I will because it was so damn good. And then we'll talk about NXT Takeover after that. So, 11 matches. My 11th, I'm going to say least favorite match of the night because it was bad. Rusev versus Orton. Nothing to really say there. It really pissed me off. Kaz versus Show, just a really boring match. I gave it it's my 10th least favorite match of the night. Then we had Cena versus Corbin as my 9th favorite match. I guess I'll do that. 9th favorite match of the night. 8th favorite match of the night was Natty versus Naomi. 7th was Nakamura versus Mahal. 6th was Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt. 5th was Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss. 4th was Cesaro and Sheamus versus Ambrose and Rollins. Such an incredible match. 3rd was AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens. Another awesome match. 2nd favorite match of the night was New Day versus the Usos. A pre-show match and an incredible match nonetheless. And then, of course, my favorite match of the night, I'm assuming most people's favorite match of the night, was the Fatal 4-Way. This was the match I was looking forward to the most heading into this pay-per-view. And it delivered on every level except for the finish. I was hoping someone else would win. But I knew that Brock's chances of winning were very high with him having dates after the show anyways. But I wanted to believe that maybe someone else could win and they just do a rematch or something. That's what the dates were. But man, this was a great show. I gave it an A-. I gave it an A-. It would have been higher if we didn't have the Rusev one. We didn't have the Kaz versus Show. There were 11 matches. 13 if you count the other 2 pre-show matches that I didn't watch. So of those 13 matches, and again, I didn't see the Neville versus Tozawa match, but I heard it was really good. Neville won, which is interesting. I'm going to go back and watch it. But there were a lot of average matches. Some that were just a little above average, and then there were just there were 1, 2, 3, 4 very incredible matches. I think A- is a fair grade for it. And again, I know that my opinion is going to differ from you guys. A lot of people dislike the show. They're pissed that Shinsuke lost, which I'm mad too, but that's okay. I'm going to live with it. It is what it is. That's why I graded it so lowly. I don't think anything else was nothing was really that bad except for Rusev versus Orton. I thought that was just an abysmal thing. And then Kaz versus Show was just a bad match. Otherwise, all the other matches, even Cena versus Corbin, which wasn't a very exciting match. I thought the match was fine. It wasn't anything spectacular. It was definitely something you could see in a main event of SmackDown. Or I won't even not really a mid of the show type of match, but it was definitely a main event SmackDown match. And I could say the same about Natalya, Naomi, Nakamura versus Mahal, Finn Balor versus Bray. All those very easily could have been SmackDown or Raw matches. Maybe even Sasha Banks and Bliss. And there's nothing wrong with them being like main event matches on those shows, but this is SummerSlam, one of the big shows of the year. Maybe expect a little bit more from some of those matches, but I thought they were fine. But the tag team title matches were both fantastic. The U.S. title match was awesome. The Universal title match was off the hook. Just an incredible show. So let's talk about NXT Takeover now. There were 5 matches total, and then I'll kind of grade. I'm going to grade that show too, and I'll rank the 5 matches to favorite to least favorite, and I'll kind of say which show I liked better between SummerSlam and NXT Takeover. So we started off with Code Orange, which was the band that performed the song for NXT. They were okay, but you could barely hear the singer. Honestly, it kind of sucked. But I thought they made up for it when they did Aleister Black's entrance. I thought it was really good. In fact, I couldn't even tell it was the same band at first. They did a much better job of that. I don't know if there was something was messed up with the sound equipment. It's very possible, but I would assume that they would test all that stuff before the show started. So I don't know what happened there. So it is what it is. I'm not going to stress. I'm not going to worry about it too much. First match of the night was Johnny Gargano versus Andrade Cien Almas. An incredible match. A very good match. We started with loud Johnny wrestling chants, of course. A lot of people fans of Johnny Gargano. I was very surprised by the ending of this match, though. When I first did my prediction, I did do predictions for this show, and I do have a video for it. I didn't do the ones for SummerSlam, though. I thought that Johnny Gargano was going to win, kind of to build him up a little bit for when Tommaso comes back, or I thought maybe Tommaso would interrupt. I didn't think Andrade would win on his own, and he didn't technically do so, but I mean without the help of Tommaso. But it was a good match, though. Cien almost ended up winning. Vega threw a shirt at Johnny and ended up being a DIY shirt, which is kind of funny. They didn't really play that into the finish, but you could tell it was a DIY shirt, and then I think he mentioned it during an interview on YouTube. But he ends up hitting this wicked-looking DDT. I don't know if he has a name for it yet, but I thought it was really good. I gave this match a 3.5, right? I thought that was a pretty fair grade for it. Just a very good match here. I enjoyed it overall. Then we had Authors of Pain versus Sanity in a very excellent tag team title match. Corey Graves was guest commentator on the show, which I really like the fact that they did that. They had some guest commentators on the show. They did that with JR as well in the next match. Very good match, though. AOP and Sanity started brawling right off the bat. EY ends up taking Killian Dane's spot on the match because he never entered the match. So even though he got knocked off the apron, or he got knocked out before the match really even started, EY takes a spot. The crowd popped big for that, and the crowd got really into it after that happened. Akeem and EY started brawling in the crowd at some point in the match. It was a fun match. Nikki Cross got involved. She jumped off the turnbuckle onto them. It's kind of weird, though, because the booking of this match is weird. So, and after the match, Red Dragon attacks. We'll talk about this because I want to mention this first. Red Dragon attacks Sanity afterwards, so they make their NXT debut as a team, even though they've made their individual ring debuts. They've wrestled. I didn't watch the NXT shows that they were on, but I've seen that they had made their debuts on the internet. They hit the chase in the Dragon on EY, and I wrote down Ring of Honor stable coming to fruition ? And of course, when Adam Cole showed up, I kind of made that very much more feasible, and definitely supported that idea. I gave this match a 3.25. I thought it was pretty good. But the booking is weird because both these teams, from what I understand, are both heels, right? And the Sanity team was very much more so over than the Authors of Pain. But it took 4 of them to beat the Authors of Pain. And then afterwards, they got attacked by Red Dragon, who are definitely heels. They very well established themselves as a heel stable, especially at the end of the show. So I was confused. Who are the faces? Who are the heels? Who am I supposed to cheer for? In my mind, it's Sanity, but it did take 4 of them to beat the tag team champions. So I don't know. It's kind of weird how they booked it, but it was fun to watch nonetheless. Then we had Hideo Itami versus Aleister Black. Very good match here. Very hard-hitting match. We had JR on commentary. Black got busted open early in the match. But these guys were just hitting each other hard. Hideo was taunting Black during the match. He did his little pose where he sat down pretzel style on the mat. I thought that was pretty good. Ultimately, Aleister Black hits the Black Mass Kick for the win. I gave this a 3.75. Very good match. I really enjoyed this match. One of my favorite matches of the weekend. One of my favorite matches of the card. And then my favorite match, a little bit of spoiler on the card, was actually Ember Moon versus Asuka. I really enjoyed this match. Both were just incredible in this match. Asuka was very cocky early on in this match, which I found to be very entertaining for me. She was just kind of nonchalantly just doing things to Ember Moon like it was just so easy, and so she was just so confident. There was one point where she kind of put the referee in front of her a couple times, and she pulled the tights at one point. She did cheat to win ultimately, because she did do some of those tactics, but it was I found it interesting that she went from being super cocky to desperate to win to keep her streak alive. I actually really liked that storytelling in this match. Asuka kicked out of the Eclipse. The crowd went nuts. I think a lot of people thought she was going to lose the title at that point. Because before this, they really built Ember Moon as the person to take the title off Asuka. Then she got injured, and it really derailed everything for the poor girl, so I do feel bad for her. So I do think if she never got injured, she would have won the title a while ago. But now, the bloom is kind of off the rose at this point, in my opinion. And now people are they're not sour on her, but they're not as interested as they once were. So I don't think she was the one that should have beat Asuka for the championship, in my opinion. Because at this point now, she has this incredible streak. It has to be someone that's got some credibility to them to be the one to beat her. And again, like I mentioned, Asuka pulled the ref in front of her. Ember Moon ends up crossbodying over the ref and hits Asuka, but Asuka reverses it and pulls the tights, and again, she gets a 2 count for that. The ref caught it when it was happening. Ember hits a super kick on her, and Asuka ends up playing possum as she's knocked out in the match. Ember goes up to pick her up. She goes for a roll up. Oh no, she lures her into an armbar. Ember then goes for a roll up after that. Asuka reverses into the Asuka lock, and Ember Moon starts tapping out. Fun match. I gave this a 4. This was my favorite match of the night. I gave it a 4 out of 5. And then we had Drew I always call him Drew Galloway, I don't know why, versus Bobby Roode. Drew comes out with some bagpipes, which was kind of cool. I was a little disappointed that wasn't the Broken Dreams theme song, because they kind of played that a couple times during their little what's the word I'm looking for there? Their video package. And they kind of said the Broken Dreams line in there a couple times with the song. So I was kind of like, man, this would be the perfect time to bring that song back. But obviously, they're staying away from it. Then we get the glorious entrance, of course. There's fog everywhere. Crowd was very much behind it. We get the Claymore kick from Drew Galloway during the match, and Bobby gets his foot on the rope. Was just in perfect position for it. We get a flip dive by Drew, which always looks impressive because he's such a tall guy. He's like 6'5", I believe. Drew goes for a tilt-a-whirl. It looked like maybe a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Bobby reversed it, hits the glorious DDT for a 2 count. Hits the glorious DDT again, and then rolls into almost like a kind of how they used to do the triple German suplexes Kurt Angle would do. Almost like that. He goes for a second DDT. Drew gets out of it, hits the Claymore kick for the 1-2-3. Drew wins the championship. And then you see the little logo at the bottom right. At this point, I'm like, okay, this was a good show. It wasn't their best takeover, but I thought it was a good show. But then the Red Dragon appear on the apron, and you see the crowd pop big time, so you know what's about to happen. And this is a moment I've been waiting for a while. I know a lot of people have. Adam Cole comes out of the crowd, attacks Drew McIntyre from behind, and picks up the title belt, raises his hand, and the crowd goes nuts. They start chanting yes. Then if you watch on YouTube after the fact, he does the Adam Cole Bebe thing over the ramp to the crowd. Pop big time for it. Fun match. I give it a 3.75 as well. Really enjoyed the match. The ending, of course, with Adam Cole just really put the show over the top for me. I was very excited to see him. And I can't believe I kept calling Drew McIntyre Drew Galloway. I hate myself for that because I hate when people calls, some of the WWE wrestlers by their indie names to sound cool. I don't do that. That was just a total accident. I hate myself for doing that. And I try so hard not to do that. Sometimes you can't remember what their name is, but anyways, I gave this show an A, just a flat A. So the grade wise, it was definitely better than SummerSlam, but I think the match quality, on average, was better on the NXT show. No matches were below a 3 for me. No matches were just average. I thought all matches delivered in a big way. However, on SummerSlam, there were more matches. There were better matches on the show, I should say, for me, that I found to be more exciting. Of course, the main event was really, really good. Both tag team title matches, AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens. I think all those matches were better than any of the matches on the NXT show. So there were 4 matches on the SummerSlam show that were better than 5 matches on the NXT show. So I'm gonna, even though I graded SummerSlam a little bit lower than I did the NXT Takeover show, I'm gonna say I enjoyed SummerSlam more, just because those matches that were really good were really good. I enjoyed NXT Takeover. I know a lot of people again will disagree with me on this, and that's fine. You're more than welcome to. This is an opinion thing. This is just how I personally what I enjoyed. Normally, I would pick NXT, and I have picked NXT over WWE in the past many times, of which show I enjoyed more. And I do think comparing the two, even though I just kind of did, it's a little unfair because they're almost two different types of wrestling shows. But I'm going to go with SummerSlam this time around because I really enjoyed, like I said, both tag team title matches were excellent. The AJ Styles vs. Kevin Owens match was really, really good. And, of course, that main event was absolutely insane. But all the matches on the NXT show was really good, too. So I don't want to take away from NXT because I thought every match on the card was great. And about less than half the matches really were great on the SummerSlam show. And that's why I got a little bit of a lower grade than NXT. But overall, I enjoyed it more. Man, what an incredible weekend for wrestling. I'm excited to see what happens on Raw tomorrow. Excited to see what happens on SmackDown on Tuesday. Are we going to get some NXT call-ups? Let's speculate a little bit before I call this a video, even though this has been a very long video. What we got, 45 minutes? Almost an hour. I knew this would be a long video, but I'm also covering two shows here. Let's speculate a little bit, though. If they're going to do call-ups from NXT tomorrow and on Tuesday, who would they call up? I think the Iconic Duo would definitely be one set of people being called up. I would put them, honestly, would I put them on SmackDown? I would actually probably put them on Raw. I think Raw needs more women than SmackDown does at this point. I think SmackDown is fine because on Raw, all you really have is Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Alexa Bliss, maybe Nia Jax, right? So you got 4. Granted, they do have Mickie James, but they don't use her at all, and she's not over in any way. Emma, they're burying the shit out of. Summer Rae hasn't been on television, and Dana Brooke is terrible. And I think Nia Jax is just as terrible as Dana Brooke, in my opinion. So realistically, you have 3 solid women on the roster. Now on SmackDown, you got Natalya, you got Naomi, you have Charlotte, you have Becky, even Carmella. I think Carmella, even though she's probably one of the weaker women on the roster, kind of credible, just the way her booking is, and she is Miss Money in the Bank. You have Tamina, who sucks, but she's there. Then you have Lana, who they built up and then just kind of squashed. I don't know what the fuck they're doing there. Is that it? So they have about 5 credible women versus SmackDown's 3 to 4, depending if you want to count Nia Jax or not, which I don't because she's tapped out to Becky, she's tapped out to Sasha Banks. She's been choked out by Bayley. She's passed out. I think she won with a sleeper hold at one point. I don't really remember. And plus, Bayley's injured too. And granted, that kind of duo aren't going to be baby faces, but they need more people on that show as far as women. Plus, they have a third hour to fill too. You got to keep that in mind. So I think maybe if you're going to put any women from from NXT and it's going to be an Iconic Duo, probably should go to Raw. Hideo Itami, I think, might be called up. He just turned heel, and I think he's great as a heel. But what is there for him to do in NXT, really? He lost to Aleister Black. I think that was kind of his way of, putting someone over before he left. I think he could go to the Cruiserweight division if he goes on Raw. But you know what? I put him on SmackDown. Put him on SmackDown and let him tear it up over there. I think if he can stay away from injury long enough to do so, and that's not a shot at him, that's just reality. I would put Hideo Itami over there, maybe have him feud with AJ Styles, maybe next even. I think a Hideo Itami AJ Styles program could be really good. The matches could be really, really good. Hideo Itami versus Shinsuke could be really good. Hideo Itami versus Kevin Owens, if they would do a heel versus heel match, would be awesome. Hideo Itami versus Sami Zayn. There's a lot of good matchups there, I think. That could be fun to watch. Hideo Itami versus John Cena would be an interesting sight. Just throwing that one out there. Authors of Pain. Even though they just lost their tag team titles, almost an afterthought at this point, now that Red Dragon is already looking to be involved with the tag team titles. Maybe AOP come up, maybe they go to SmackDown, maybe they're the ones who've been attacking the Breezango. They found 2B, which is a hint, I'm assuming, and it could be two brothers. I don't know, even though I don't think a Common Razor are booked as brothers, and I don't think they are brothers, although they look very similar. It's hard to say, really. I really don't. I can't see a correlation between 2B and them, to be honest. Although they do look very similar. I don't know, but I could see Authors of Pain being the team to do it. And if you're gonna bring them up, I think SmackDown's a good place to put them. They can feud with the New Day. They can feud with the Hype Bros probably first. Let the Hype Bros put them over. They need more babyface tag teams, period, in that business. But I think Authors of Pain could work in SmackDown. They would be fine on Raw as well, but Raw has, I think, a better tag team division once Revival gets back. Although I think Usos and New Day are better, just them alone are better than. I don't want to say that though because the Raw tag team has some good tag team. The Hardy Boys, the Revival, Cesaro and Sheamus, obviously Rollins and Ambrose now, and then you have the Good Brothers. They have some good tag teams over there. SmackDown only has Breezango, Usos, and the New Day. They have the Ascension, which haven't been seen much on television. Hype Bros have been absent from television as well. The Colognes are technically still signed, although I think they're on their ways out. So they don't have too many options there. So I think they need a new tag team over there. One or two tag teams, but NXT doesn't really have that many tag teams to give. And I think maybe Bobby Roode is on his way out. Apparently, Vince is very high on the guy. Apparently, they want to get him into a top program right away. I don't think he would work on Raw just yet. There's too much going on Raw's main event scene. But as far as SmackDown, it's almost an open field at this point. I mean, you have Cena, but he's probably coming back to Raw because he's a free agent. Randy Orton and Rusev, I think, have unfinished business if they keep Rusev around. Otherwise, you have Orton versus maybe Baron Corbin. You can bring not Lashley. You can bring Bobby Roode. His name is Bobby too. You could bring Bobby Roode over, and they could do maybe Bobby Roode versus Sami Zayn, Bobby Roode versus Ty Dillinger. You can do a few different matchups to set him up, and then maybe once if Shinsuke wins the WWE title, you could have Shinsuke versus Bobby Roode as a program. You can have AJ Styles versus Bobby Roode. I think that's a match. I wouldn't. You know what? I haven't heard anybody mention that yet. But Bobby Roode versus AJ Styles for the U.S. title sounds like a pretty good match to me. I could really dig that. A little throwback to TNA. I think that'd be pretty cool. I haven't heard anyone mention that yet, actually. I just thought about it now on the spot. Anyone else who I can see coming up from NXT right now? I know Roderick Strong was back there, but if they're going to do this Ring of Honor stable, maybe Roderick Strong sticks around and joins that stable, be the fourth man at some point. Although they really build him up as this big baby face down there. They could also put Cassius Ohno in that stable too, because he was obviously, as Chris Hero, a part of ROH at one point. If that's what they're going for. And they may just stick to a 3-man. I think 3-man's good. 3-man's fine. I can see Roddy coming up. And again, I think they put him on SmackDown. They need some baby faces over there. Raw could use it too, though, to be fair. But I think they could put Roddy on SmackDown. He'd be fine. Maybe, again, put him up against Baron Corbin. You get Roddy versus Corbin, Roddy versus Rusev, Roddy versus Bobby Roode. On YouTube, they even mentioned, they showed a little clip of Bobby Roode pissed off that he lost the title, and Roddy showed up backstage and blew a kiss at him, strangely. So maybe that's the start of a program between those two. I don't know. But yeah, but you know what? Those are my guesses. Let me know in the comment section below who you think are going to be called up from NXT if that's what they're doing. And if they are going to do a shakeup, who do you think is going to which brand? Who do you want to see go over to a different brand? If I had to pick just a couple random people from Raw and SmackDown that I would like to switch, I think that the Good Brothers need to get changed. I think SmackDown would be a good change for them. If you had to trade a tag team for them, maybe trade them for the Hype Bros, put the Hype Bros on Raw. They're both kind of just I hate to say this, but almost both like enhancement talent at this point, almost. You could put them on Raw. Why not? Shelton Benjamin just signed a contract. Maybe he's going to show back up on SmackDown finally. You know, because he got injured before his debut was going to happen. Can't think of anyone else. I really don't want to see anybody switch around because I think they finally started to get back from that from the last one. So I'm hoping that's not true. I hope they're not doing a shakeup already. They need to really wait at least a year to do a shakeup, in my opinion. Anyways, guys, these were my SummerSlam review and my NXT Takeover review, as well as some talk about the shakeup that's supposed to happen, some NXT call-ups that might happen. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys, A, thought about SummerSlam, B, thought about NXT, and C, who do you want to see get called up from NXT and or moved around from Raw and SmackDown? Let me know about that on the comment section below. If you like this very long video, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, guys, which will be the Raw review tomorrow, I am the Maverick Mark Daniels, bidding you a farewell, peace, and one love.